Revolutionary greetings, comrades. We meet once again in this section where we are responding to your questions. You might have a question that you want to ask. Please go ahead, as usual, write in the comment section, and then we'll be able to respond to your question. Last time we recorded a video where we're interviewing Mr. Chuma about the project, the ball project that they are running. We had said in that video that they purchased a truck, this one that is a drilling machine, a drilling ball machinery. They are a group of domestic workers. I can't remember whether they are 122 or somewhere there. I can't remember the number, but it's all in the video. Then their comrades were asking on how they can join that project. Let me point it out that that project is for a specific people that came together. Initially, there were 350, if my memory serves me well, or thereabout, but others, for one reason or another, dropped out. So what you are being encouraged is that you should come together as a group, maybe in your ward or in your district, and establish a similar thing. I did not take, we did not agree that I should distribute their contacts because, as far as they are concerned, they've now the members that they need, hence the purchases that they've done. They are in the second stage now of doing surveying to check if in their home state indeed there's underground water. And the final stage, as we understand, is the drilling itself, where they will then be drilling these boreholes in their respective homes. So you cannot then join such a group as we understand, but you can come together with others and establish a new thing altogether. So we thought that we needed to clarify this. We are waiting, of course, for your comments. For your questions that you want to ask so that we can assist. But while we are waiting for you to post your comments, we've titled this video, Let Us Stop Political Violence. We see violence is getting out of hand in Zimbabwe. We saw what happened over the weekend in Wadi 2, Matobo district, is in Matebele in South Zimbabwe, where both members of the opposition, Triple C and the ZANU-PF, were campaigning over the weekend ahead of a by-election that is going to happen this coming Saturday. There was violence. We've seen videos that are circulating. Vehicles were damaged. People were attacked. We also received some reports earlier on. I can't remember whether it was last week or so, when ZAPU comrades were also complaining of the intimidation and the violence directed at their members in Matobo, Ward 2, where this by-election is going to happen. For those who are familiar with Mat South or around Matobo, who might have forgotten where Ward 2 is located, it is located around San Yat-sen. So if you know, just after Mapisa, San Yat-sen, that area, Tut and other areas, they fall under Ward 2, which is Matobo South. We condemn the violence that broke out over the weekend. We condemn the intimidation in that area. We have spoken out against the violence that we saw in Midlands and in other parts of the country, and will continue to talk against the violence because we cannot hold an election in an environment where people are intimidated, where people are stopped to campaign. Every Zimbabwean has a right to campaign for political office. If you want to be a councillor, to be a member of parliament, to be president, you have a right to campaign in terms of the Zimbabwean constitution. It is only the people that should decide whether they indeed want you to be their councillor, to their member of parliament, to be their senate, or to be their president. It should not be political opponents that block you from carrying out your political work. We must engage in the battle of ideas, not in the battle of violence. This we should not be doing. So we're very worried. We are very worried that this might actually play itself out as we build to 2023 elections. We have said in the past that the ruling party, ZANU-PF, or misruling party, ZANU-PF, retains its strongholds in rural communities. So when opposition parties are making their inroads in rural communities, they then seek to use violence as a political tool to seal off rural constituencies. And this should not be allowed to happen. Every Zimbabwean has a right to participate in political work, in fact, to vote and to be voted for. So we must desist from using political violence as a tool to advance our own political work or our political interests. Uh, one of the issues that as Marxists we are discussing, which we invite you to participate in this debate, is the whole question of an election in Zimbabwe, elections in Africa. We have not really done a scientific research to an extent that we can submit figures, but it is common cause that elections in Africa, in the main, in many countries in Africa, uh, are violent. Many people have died during the election campaign. We saw what happened in Zimbabwe in 2008. We saw what was happening in 1990 when the likes of Gombai, the late, and the Zoom member, Zimbabwe Unity Movement, came under attack from ZANU-PF. We saw in 1985 when ZAP was under attack during Kukuraundi period. And we saw in Kenya what happened. Was it in 2007, the violence that took place in Kenya and in a number of countries. So from a Marxist perspective, which we must engage on, and of course, we see the killing of councillors in KZN in particular. So we must therefore engage on this question about elections, more so in Zimbabwe, where Zimbabwe have characterized it as a deep state. And we've always argued that you cannot dismantle a deep state through an election. And we have said ZANU-PF is simply a puppet of the deep state. And we expect that the military intelligence in Zimbabwe will take over the commissariat department of ZANU-PF or the campaign machinery of ZANU-PF ahead of 2023 elections. And we know that when the military takes over under the cover of ZANU-PF, they will simply seal off rural communities. And what worries us is that no attention is going to be paid to Zimbabwe as the whole world is focused on the war in Ukraine. So we are likely to have a violent election, and then everyone across the globe turning a blind eye or too busy to worry about Zimbabwe because the situation in Ukraine must come to an end. If we're not careful, we might be going to a nuclear war. So when all these things are happening, the political elite in Zimbabwe will take advantage and seal off rural areas and create a no-go areas for the opposition. So from a Marxist perspective, which we are currently discussing, is what is the way forward? And is the election an answer? Assuming one of the two major parties emerge victorious in 2023, what does it mean for the working class and the rural people? This is the question that we are discussing, and we invite you to participate in this discussion so that we're able to come up with a solution or a proposal that will speak to bringing stability to our economy, create a peaceful environment in our communities, so that we do not lose lives. Like I'm saying, it's a discussion on discussion that we are having. We'll make a pronouncement from our own scientific analysis later on, but let us engage on this question. Thanks to you all who have joined, and Comrade Admire Dube Morning, he writes here, I don't know where you are, Comrade Admire Dube. I'm in Joburg. It's morning. It's just 3 minutes to 9. So I'm not sure whether you are in the US, you are still sleeping, or wherever you are, if you are somewhere else, afternoon or evening. But you are writing are saying there must be a vigorous political education in rural areas. Comrade, older people still think that the ruling party can see who they voted for. Most vote for certain parties out of fear. Now you are in, okay, you are in Cape Town, Comrade Matube. Indeed, political education is necessary. That is the work that political parties like ourselves, uh, progressive NGOs must carry out. But the fear, as we are expressing it, is that if the interests of the deep state are under threat, we are talking of economic interests, because the deep state understands that if there is another government that is not loyal to the deep state, its economic interests will not be protected. So it will employ violence, as they have done in Wadi 2, to block anyone from penetrating rural communities. We are worried. And of course, the other tool that they use, which we spoke about, I think I was in Zim, is that they use traditional leaders as political commissars. We spoke about them using ex-detainees and or collaborators in JIP as a tool to try and win, retain power in the rural communities. So we are indeed worried. So our plea, particularly to the diaspora community, is that while we're having this discussion about an election in Zimbabwe, at this stage, the position is that every Zimbabwean who qualifies to vote must register to vote. And so our call to the diaspora community is that you must register to vote. Later on, I will do a video where we are analyzing the registration votes, because very soon uh, there's going to be a delimitation of constituencies. You know, we have 210 constituencies. So after every 10 years, there's delimitation of constituencies. I saw over the weekend, ZEC, Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, posted some figures, province by province. So we're going to look into that later on, and see which provinces are likely to lose seats, which ones are likely to gain more seats. But the seats remain 210. They don't increase. But there's a particular number, that a threshold that a constituency must have for it to be a constituency. If it doesn't meet that threshold, it then gets combined with another constituency. And if, say, there are more people registered in a particular constituency, they then split and they create another constituency, meaning one constituency in one province might lose and another province might gain. But we will analyze that when we then look into those numbers. Otherwise, thanks. Have a great week ahead. As you can see, we are celebrating our victory over Manchester City. We hit them hard 1-0. Otherwise, comrades, enjoy the rest of your week. I am Ngabuto Nicholas Mapena. Please circulate and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Otherwise, goodbye.